Yes. All right. Great. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everyone on the platform right now. If you are with us on Zoom or you are watching us live on YouTube, I want to say good morning to you. And thank you for joining us again this morning. So we had to wait for some time to allow some of uh, to allow other participants to join us. But then, because we're running out of time, we really need to kick off this morning. So once again, thank you for joining us. Um, Today's session is very special. It's very special. One of the major essence of this training, what we want to be looking at today. All right, one of the major essence of the training we have been doing all the way from the first week into the third week, and that we end next week. One of the major focus of this training is what we're going to be presenting and what we are going to be uh, dishing out this morning. So I'd like to encourage you all to please be focused and stay tuned. For as many that have stayed with us this far, I want to say a big thank you. Yeah, so we keep getting feedback from a lot of people that have been participating. Thank you for your feedbacks. For as many that have been following us, thank you so much for being part of this. So this morning we are so honored to have with us one of our training partners from the United Arab Emirates, in person of Mr. Mayas. All right, she is an education consultant, and she is also the CEO of MOI. MOI is Magnum Opus International. All right, it's a learning institution. All right, we'll get to know more better as time goes on. All right, so we are most honored again to have her with us this morning, and she's going to be handling the session this morning. And the focus of this morning session is the FAD model. The FAD model, also known as the Flipped Adaptive Differentiated model. It's a combination of F, A, and D for a model for accelerated learning outcome. Right. So from our research team and then from our, our training partners we have across the globe, we have brought together this model as something that every learning center should have. Right. This model we have discovered is going to help any school to produce excellent and outstanding learners. And that's what we're looking at it this morning. All right. So briefly, I'm going to be handing over to Mr. Ressa. But before I do that, I need to quickly give us, because the thing is this morning, she's going to be using Nearpod for our presentation. All right, she'll be using Zoom and Nearpod for our presentation. So what happens is that while watching on Zoom, if you're using your mobile device, you can just minimize Zoom and then you go to Nearpod. All right, like I said, I said we should download Nearpod on our phones. You can find Nearpod on Google Play. All right, but if you have not been able to do that now, don't worry. Just watch the presentation. But if you have been able to download Nearpod on your either on your mobile device, or if you're using your laptop to connect us right now, so with your laptop you can just go on Google Chrome and just type nearpod.com. All right, so when you can enter the code that will be given us now. So with this code, you can connect to the presentation live, and be with us in this session. So I'm going to give us the code now. All right, so I'm going to type the code in the chat room. Please check the chat room. I'm going to drop the code there, so that you can all have it and we can move on this morning. Okay, so the code is, please everyone kindly check the chat room for the code. All right, and ZQHJC. So with this code, you can connect to this presentation on Nearpod. With this code, you can connect to this presentation on Nearpod. All right, great. All right, so if you're watching us live on YouTube, right, so please you can connect with the code ZQHJC. ZQHJC. So you can connect live with us on YouTube with this with the code. Let me try to share my whiteboard and write this on the screen for those that may be on YouTube, so that we can be sure that they have it. All right, so I said it's ZQHJC. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is the code, ZQHJC. So you can connect with this presentation on Nearpod right now with this code. All right, so at this point, I would then like to hand over to Mr. Ressa. All right, so for the next 30 minutes, he's going to be taking us. And as the session goes on, feel free, if you have any question, please drop it in the chat room. All right, so we're going to be responding to your questions. All right, so Mr. Ressa, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Oh, great.
Can you hear me? Is my sound okay?
Very well, it is. It is nice. It is nice. All right, great. So I hand over to you at this moment to continue.
Awesome. All right, am I ready to start, sir?
Yes, please go ahead. So I've given you the permission. You can share your screen. I've given you the permission to share your screen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to start off by just saying welcome to everybody. And I must say that it has been an absolute pleasure to be part of this initiative. And I would like to take my hats off to all the educators out there who took time to join us and to be part of the session. It was absolutely amazing to see the interaction, to see your energy, and also to see your enthusiasm in all the programs that have been touched. So allow me to say thank you. Allow me to say we appreciate your efforts, and allow me to encourage you to keep moving forward, because indeed we are in challenging times. So this morning we have something a little bit different to what we've been doing the last few weeks. Today I'm going to introduce you to the FAD formula, which has been curated by EdTech so that we can provide you with a solution to address problems in the classroom. So I'm going to start off this session by asking you to think about professional development in general, and to just give you a reason why I am doing this morning. Now, as a teacher, we know what it is like to sit in professional development that is being presented by people who have not been in the classroom for a long time, or maybe not at all. So this morning, I understand what it is to be a teacher. I understand what it means to have challenges, and also to have to face those challenges. So part of the reason why I'm doing this is because we as educators are a global community now. Our role has not changed. It's just the way that we are going to be doing things that has changed. So thank you for joining us this morning. Before we get into the content, I'd like to make note of the fact that you have been introduced to Nearpod. So this morning I am using the Nearpod platform to just show you some of the features, and also to just have us interact with each other so that this can be a little bit more meaningful. So I'm asking you to have some paper and maybe a pen handy, take some notes. If you need to do that digitally, then you are able to do so as well. So to start us off, one of the features of Nearpod is the ability to take learners on a virtual tour. So this morning, I'm going to take you with me to Tanzania, and we're going to take a look at one of the schools in Tanzania. Now, the reason why I'm starting off with this is we may be familiar with this classroom setup. So what I'd like for us to do is to just quickly have a look at what we have in here. To those of you who are accessing Nearpod on your own, you can play around with this feature on your own, and you can move up and down as much as you like. What I'd like you to have a look at is, let's look at our learners. Quite obviously, we can see that teacher is there. Teacher has the blackboard, the chalk in hand, and obviously teacher is teaching. Please ignore the visitors in the classroom, because I'm sure they have a purpose over there as well. But I'd like to have you look at how focused our learners are in the front, and how they seem to be absolutely attentive. But let's quickly take a look at what is happening behind the scenes. Now, I'd like you to have a look at the expressions of our learners, where their eyes are focused, what their facial expressions are, and then I'd like you to think a bit about that. As we go around the classroom, as I take you on this journey, take a look at the expressions of our learners. I think we've lost our boy over here, judging from his body language and his facial expression. All right, so think a bit about the scenario. If this is still the scenario that some of us are in, I'd like for us to focus on how we can bring about change, because we know that these are circumstances that are difficult. Of course, we have circumstances that look completely different to this, and this morning, this is what we'd like to address. We'd like to address what your personal needs are, your personal experience, and how we can affect that. So just as a little bit of a participation, I'd like for you to tell me what do you think about this scenario at this stage. I'd like for you to write a comment. You will see that there is an interactive board on your side of the screen. Towards the bottom, you have the option of sharing your thoughts and maybe even an image if you'd like at the bottom. So my question to you this morning, colleagues, after having taken a look at that, what do you think is wrong with this type of classroom? And what do you consider right about this classroom? Because obviously there are positives and negatives. So mention what is good and mention what you think is negative. Please type your answers in the chat box so that we can see what it is that you think. Now, I can see that we have some people in the classroom this morning. Welcome, Edis, Kahinde, and Ngozi. I'm not sure if this is your first or your last name, so please excuse me if I have got that incorrect. But we'd like to see what it is that you have to say this morning. Thank you for joining me. Right, so we have our first comment that class is not interactive and engaging. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I love that comment. I'm going to give another minute so that we can see if there's anybody else that would like to drop a comment over here. Of course, when we speak about interaction and we speak about engagement, what we want is we want learners to be actively part of the learning process. All right, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Thank you so much for your comment. We're going to move along. So I have some questions for you this morning. Firstly, what is your teaching philosophy? What do you believe as a teacher? And what is it that you believe specifically about teaching? Think about that for a minute. Secondly, how do you approach learning? Now, we know there's a difference between teaching and learning. In normal circumstances, we would be the teachers teaching and the learners would be doing the learning. What is your approach to the learning of the learners or learning in general? For question number 3, what do you bring to your classroom? Do you bring energy? Do you bring creativity? Do you bring curriculum and assessment? And do you enforce strictly what is expected of you as a teacher? I want you to think about that as well. What are you bringing to your classroom? For question number 4, I'd like for you to think about your learners. If you could judge by your learners' expressions on their faces, by their behavior, and also by their attitude, how do your learners feel when they leave your classroom? Now, the intention of these questions is not to make you anxious at all, or not to make you reflect in a way that is going to make you feel bad at all, but just to think about the process and how the process is influenced by everything that we do. So, I want to give you an example of a philosophy. So I'm sure many of us are familiar with President Nelson Mandela, which is one of my favorites. And I think one of the things that stands out, especially in education, is his vision that education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. And I'm sure we all realize that the world has been and will continue to experience change. Now, this is an example of a philosophy. Now, I'd like to change this a little bit. And if you look at the word weapon, it has some negative connotations. In my opinion, I would like to substitute that word, if you may. And I would like to think of education as the Wi-Fi password of the future. Now, as you all know, we all are desperately always in search of data if we want to access the internet. So wherever you would go, the first thing you would ask is, what is the Wi-Fi password so that you can have access to the internet? So if that has been your experience, you'll understand why I believe that this is part of my philosophy. Education is the Wi-Fi password of our future. You might agree or disagree with me on that one. I'm open to conversation about that. All right. moving on, I'd like you to think about your digital literacy at this stage. Now, if you've been part of these sessions, part of what we have been doing is we've been addressing your digital literacy. Now, I have a poll set up for us this morning, and in the poll, I'm going to ask you to think about where exactly you think that you are right now. So on your screen, you will find a poll, and you will have some options to choose from. Now, you will notice that you have 4 options. And in your options, you'll also see that you have a digital or a picture attached to this to focus on what your digital literacy is at this stage. Now, the EAZY-DIGI team has been working hard on giving you a little bit more confidence, but what do you feel like this morning? If you choose A this morning, it means that you are maybe scared of using technology like I used to be. Maybe you're not sure what to do. I don't know how to use it in my class, but I'm not sure. I know how to use it in my class, but I'm not sure. If you select B this morning, you'll be saying, I've received training. I've practiced some application. I've trialed in my class with success, and I'm feeling more confident. Thank you. I see some people are starting to vote already. Well done. If you select C, you are saying, my students and I are using technology with confidence. Technology is embedded in my lessons and planning where appropriate. That means you're at C. If you are at D, you are saying, I am digitally literate as I am in pedagogy and subject knowledge, which means you're very confident about where you are. You're also saying that you are at the stage where you are creating content and sharing this content across the internet. Now, once you have selected, please make sure that you submit so that we can see where we are at. Thank you so much, Kahindi, and thank you so much, Edith. I've seen that you have made your selection already. Thank you so much for your participation. We'll give a minute because we see that we have Ms. Ngozi and Hamid as well. So we are going to just give a minute. Right, and then I'm going to share what it is that we have found in our poll. And our poll will show us that there's a fair distribution as far as digital literacy is concerned, which means that for some, they feel a little bit more confident than others, which is okay. We've got you. We're going to move forward and show you how we can incorporate all our skills and make this a little bit easier for you. So here's what you're going to find in this presentation. We're going to take a look at the background. Remember, we're speaking about the FAD model, which we'd like to present this morning. We're going to be speaking about the outcome. We're going to be addressing the basics, and I'm going to give you an introduction to the model about the flipped classroom, adaptive learning, and differentiation, which we are incorporating into one. Now, you know that our learners are into memes and all these funny ways of addressing everything in life. So I have a meme for you this morning, which is probably where you are at. We need to understand that there is a rationale behind digitalizing our teaching. And your question may be, why? And if that is you, I completely understand. So let me provide you with some answers. The first thing that I'd like to focus on is, because we are intent on focusing on Nigeria this morning, we're going to take a look at some of the facts that I've come up with in my research. Reason number one is technology is developing at an alarming rate. Today, over 100 million Nigerians are now connected to the internet. I wanted to think about that. 100 million Nigerians are connected to the internet. The second reason that I'd like for us to focus on is the aspect of connectivity. Connectivity is developing at an alarming rate. Now, what connectivity are we speaking about? We are talking about connectivity with each other in communities, within the country, and then even outside of that and internationally. So according to the research, Nigeria had the 7th highest number of mobile phone users in the world. That was 172 million in 2019. That was just a year ago. Reason number 3, a new type of learner has emerged. We no longer have the type of learners that we've seen in picture number 1, who respectfully sit and passively wait for the information and interact with us. We have the kind of learner now who is the 21st century skilled learner. This kind of learner relies on critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. And this is pretty much what the workforce requires of our learners as well. So it's also understandable that with access to information changing, we also need to address why digitizing is important. Today, we've said over 100 million Nigerians are connected to the internet, but also 250,000 new subscribers in the last quarter of 2019. And this is according to the Nigerian Communications Commission. Now, you may ask why I'm giving you all the statistics. Well, I think it is absolutely clear that technology is developing, the world is changing, our learners are changing, which means as teachers, we also need to be changing. So we are in the 21st century. The 21st century calls for a 21st century learner. Now, the 21st century learner needs a 21st century teacher. So what does a 21st century teacher look like? It's not much different to what we've done in the past. The only difference comes in we now will be creating learning environments, and these learning environments need to provide learning experiences. And these learning experiences have to empower our students and develop key skills. So that is why we're doing all of this. So as you can see, it's not much different to what we've done in the past, but it does require a mind shift. As teachers, we now need to understand that we do not completely control the learning environment, but that we are at the center of it. As a teacher, we now need to make sure that we understand we need to have a connection to everything that is available in support of the learning process. So this session aims to show you that you already have it in you. Don't feel like this is daunting. It's not different. It's not new. It's not something that is supposed to make you anxious. You already have it in you. You simply need to design the appropriate content. And like I say, at this stage, we need to congratulate EAZY-DIGI in their attempts to try and help us to do exactly that. Today, we take it a little bit further. So in order for us to now take what we have learned in the sessions and look at our own unique situations in our schools, what we are suggesting is a design that focuses on the flipped classroom, which includes adapted learning as well as differentiation. So our focus is going to be on this model this morning. So please stay with us as we show you some of the content that we have developed so that you can get a better feel of what it is that we mean. So today I'm going to ask you to quickly take a look at the following video with me. So this video will give you an idea of what we mean when we speak about the flipped classroom, which is going to be the first focus of our session today. All right, so as you can see, if we want to simplify what you have just done or what you've just viewed, we're speaking about the flipped classroom, and I'm sure that you have heard about the concept before. It's not something that we've come up with ourselves, but it is something that we need to take a look at as a solution to a problem that we might have amid the pandemic and also amid the unique circumstances in our different schools. So in the flipped classroom, what we are proposing is that the materials for your course is provided to your learner outside of the classroom, which means the old idea of homework takes on a new approach, if you may, because the kind of content that you would be providing him is content that may be a selection of paper, digital, or whatever platform you would like to use. When you do have class time, the class time now will be used for inquiry if there is something that the kid does not understand, for application if there is content that you would like them to apply, and then also for the purposes of assessment, which is as important a part of our curriculum as delivery of content. Now, there are numerous ways to flip your classroom, and I have created a little video. I'm very proud to say that I've used the skills that I've learned from EduTech, and I have created a little video to just show you that the flipped classroom is not one particular method. There are various different methods that we can do this and apply it in our classrooms. So quickly have a look. This video is 3 minutes long, and it gives you an idea of how you could engage your students. A 3-minute video is effective enough for you to get across the content that you need. So to our participants this morning, I'd like for you to take notes, because at the end of the video, there's going to be a short little quiz just to see if you have paid attention. So have a look at the numerous ways in which we flip the classroom. I'm going to remind you just in the previous slide, what is the flipped classroom? The material is introduced outside, and in class time is for inquiry, application, and assessment. So have a look at how you can do this in different ways. Awesome. I hope that has given you an idea of the different ways in which we are able to flip our classrooms. So colleagues, now I'm going to ask you to just for a minute, take a look at the activity that I have there for you. In the activity, you have to match the pairs that go together. So I've given you the name of the model of the flipped classroom and a description. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to just quickly see if you are able to match the model with the description. If you click on the little blue circle with the two arrows, you can maximize and see the description a little bit more clearly. So to our participants this morning, once again, thank you for joining us. We really enjoy that you are here. So we're going to give you a minute to see if you are able to just quickly match up the type of model with the description of the model. Respectfully, colleagues, we'll ask you to do this very quickly because we do not want to run out of time. So I think I'm going to give it another minute or so and see if you can quickly just match up the pairs according to what you have seen in the video right now. The different versions that we have is the kind of flipped classroom that eliminates the need for classroom time, where the lecture video for student viewing is shared. You assign the work via an online LMS and you simply require students to schedule contact time. Which one is that? Thank you so much. We have one participant already. Thank you. Thank you so much, participant Edes, for participating. Thank you. That is awesome. Now, obviously, if this is new to you, you might get it wrong because they sometimes also sound as if they are so similar. But if you go and you focus on this a little bit more and you study the different types, because there's loads and loads of information out there on the different types of flipped classroom. Thank you, participant Ngozi. Thank you so much for your try as well. All right, I see that we might run out of time, so thank you for your participation. Those of you who are not able to do it in time, I will provide a student paste link afterwards. So if you would like to come back and do this presentation again, you can do it at your own time. Thank you respectfully, colleagues, for participating. Now, I'd also like you to think quickly as an educator, having had a look at the different models, and these models are in no way exhausted. There are various different versions of flipping your classroom. But if you take a look at what you have been presented with, what do you think is going to be the best suited to your unique situation as a teacher? Which model of the flipped classroom entices you most? Do you think that flipping the teacher model, the virtual flipped classroom where we are moving towards as teachers these days, the group-based flipped classroom? Maybe you like the demonstration-focused flipped classroom, the discussion-orientated classroom, or maybe the standard inverted classroom. Kindly, colleagues, if you will just choose one for us and just one that resonates with you. Which one do you think suits your needs or your unique situation as a teacher at this stage? Please know there's no right or wrong answer. We're taking a look at where you are, what your needs are, your learners' needs, and how we will be able to address that. Thank you. As we can see already, we have different opinions in this regard. We have people going for B and we have people going for C, which is quite fine. For the sake of time, colleagues, I'm going to move forward. So sorry for those of you who are having trouble connecting or maybe participating in time. But like I said, I will provide this so you can redo it after this presentation. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no one-size-fits-all situation. As teachers, we may have to adapt our strategies depending on the curriculum requirements. We need to look at timelines. We need to look at our content. We need to take a look at what outcomes are expected from our content. We also need to take a look at what is the available infrastructure, which may be one of our biggest challenges these days, and also the level of competence. And here we're speaking about competence in the learners as well as competence in the educators. And we need to address these so that it can make sense for how we are going to deliver. As educators, we also need to understand that besides just flipping our classrooms, there are some things that we need to take cognizance of. Different learners, for instance, have different learning styles. Now, if we understand this, it will also help us to address our instructional requirements of our students. Now, I have also prepared something that makes us focus on this. We know that our learners have different ways of absorbing information. We know that they process this information differently. And we know that learners also comprehend and retain information in different ways. Now, that brings us to the second leg of our FAD model. If you've stayed with us, the F stands for the flipped classroom. So now we're going to go to the A, which brings us to adaptive learning. If you want to modify your classes so that they suit your flipped classroom, a good starting point is going to be to find out what your learners need. What are the learning styles that they have? Now, something that I have found useful is educational theorist Neil Fleming's VARK model of student learning. Now, I'm keeping my eye on the time, and I'm going to go through some of this a little bit faster so that we are able to get through the content I'd like to share. So I'm going to show you a video to give you an idea of what do I mean when I speak about different learning styles. So please have a look at this video to give you an idea. All right, colleagues, I'm going to stop the video over there for the sake of time, but I think you get the idea of what it is that we are suggesting over here. Now, there are two questionnaires that have been part of this presentation. It is a questionnaire that deals with learner styles and a questionnaire that also deals with teachers and the style of teaching that we have. So what we are going to do is we're going to make this available to you so that you can explore it on your own time, but to see how it is that you can use this to inform your teaching. Now, what I'd like for you to take away from this, I'm sorry that we don't have enough time to do the interaction as planned. I want you to understand that once your teaching and your learners' learning practice is known to you, you are ready to adapt your actual classroom experience. So what we have here is simply a map. And I'm not sharing this simply because the information is out there. I'm sharing because it is something that I've tried in my classes as well. So I'd like for us to take away from this session what it is that we are suggesting with our FAD model. We are suggesting that you have a look at your course expectations. Now, you can do this at the beginning of the year. You can do it at the beginning of a term, at the beginning of a week, at the beginning of a lesson. But you need to take a look at this as a starting point and decide what is the content knowledge that you need to deliver. Then you need to work on your class preparation, colleagues, and your class preparation is going to determine how exactly you are going to flip your class and then also adapt to address all the learning styles. Your class time is for class participation and then also for feedback. Feedback from you and also feedback from the learners, which brings you to the last part, which helps you to measure your success and complete or revisit your lesson. So our flipped adaptive model allows of us also to put this into practice and realize that we have three different kinds of learners. We have learners who can achieve everything and get to the basic knowledge. We have learners that can understand and apply what needs to be put in practice. And then we'll have learners who have mastered and can independently proceed. For this reason, it is needed for us to differentiate. And when we differentiate, we find ways to learn about the needs of our individual students in order to differentiate the instruction to meet your needs. And that is the last leg of the adapted model. So when you have a look at this, colleagues, what we are suggesting is that there is a need for us to adapt our way of teaching, and the FAD model that we are suggesting is a way that we can do this. It allows for you to blend your learning, it allows for you to create content, and it allows for you to make sure that the learner is getting the best possible learning experience because you have curated. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will have this, like I said, available for you to have a look at afterwards as a student-paced lesson, and I am free to discuss any part of the presentation with you, should you so choose. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Risa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful presentation. And I'd like to quickly say that everything we do in this training is to show schools, to show educators an example of what should be happening in their classroom. All right, if you see how we have been handling every session, we were trying to show you an example, all right, a picture of what is available that you can adopt, that you can inculcate in your learning environment. Right. I'm sure everyone this morning has had a wonderful learning experience. Just imagine that you were the teacher this morning, and then you're teaching your learners, and then they are having this kind of experience. All right. So once again, Mr. Ressa, we are saying a big thank you. Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're glad to have you. Most likely, I don't know, most likely we might want Mr. Ressa to come around on Monday, because I really want to spend time on this aspect. So we'll see how we can work around that. You know, how she can be around on Monday to talk about the later part of the FAD model, which she didn't have enough time to actually talk about that part. which is really very important. All right, so we'll try to see if we can work that around so that you can be around again on Monday, all right, to dwell more on the later part of it. And then we'll now look at tools that we can use to achieve the FAD model. I tell you something, with the FAD model in your school, in your learning environment, you're going to have a unique learning environment. You're going to give your learners the best of experiences. And let me say again before we go this morning, that right now we are helping schools to set up their virtual learning environment. In your school, you need a virtual learning manager. All right, so somebody that can help you, monitor the virtual components of your learning environment. That can help you monitor the virtual components of your blended learning environment. All right, so because every school now needs to have a blended learning environment, which consists of the physical, the face-to-face, and then the online components. All right, so one of the service that we are offering, all right, okay, is that you can have access, all right, to a virtual learning manager that's going to come to your school. We come to your school, right? We do a lot of things, beginning from training to so many aspects that I will share with you again afterwards on the WhatsApp platform of what it is about hiring a virtual learning manager from us. All right, so when we come to your school, beginning from training your teachers and some other services that are involved, and when we spend some time with you, we're going to turn your school around. All right, there's going to be a new world of learning experience. There's going to be a new world of learning experience. So please, if you like to have us come to your school, if you like to have us come around, and enrich your learning environment, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here for you. And let me say this is not expensive. Right? One of our core values is affordability. Is not inexpensive. When you talk with us, you see what I'm talking about. All right. So please reach out to us and let's talk. All right. So that you can create a new learning environment for your learners. All right. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you so much. Once again, we say a big thank you to Ms. Teresa for this wonderful time with us. So she has provided the code. To, if you want to achieve a self-paced, that's what I'm talking about. When you create a position with Nearpod, your learners can, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be synchronous. It can be asynchronous in the sense that the learners can go through the presentation at their convenience, whatever time it is they want to. Just like after this session now, with this code, that's okay, what's the code again? That's UALPF. So with this code, you can actually have access to this entire presentation at your leisure. Whenever you're free, you want to, you can have access to it. And you can also go on YouTube as well to also see what we have done today all through. All right. Okay, so that's a student-based version. So with the code UALPF, you can have access to this entire presentation, all right, and learn from the contents at your own pace. Once again, thank you everyone for staying with us. Please, our WhatsApp platform is still open for interaction. Just after this session now, we can keep talking on WhatsApp. You can ask some questions if you want to, and you can share your thoughts. And please give us feedback on the WhatsApp platform. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you, everyone. This is what we'll call it the day for today. Thank you.